Hello and welcome to this video. This video is going to be called the 10 most annoying rock stars of all time, ranked from 10 to 1. And I am in a bad mood, right? Which is why I'm doing this video. I've just arrived at my studio and for the third day I've got no electrics. We had a storm at the weekend, it's got the electrics out, and I've turned up all excited to do a video on modes, and I was going to do some playing and all that type of stuff. And I've got here, the electric's still off, so it's put me in a bad mood. So I thought, well, I don't want to waste my journey down, so what shall I do? And so I thought, I'm going to do the 10 most annoying rock stars, and I've literally got a piece of paper here. Right, I've written them all down. I'll give you a flash. So you can pause that bit there if you want, if you don't want to listen to me. If you're that type of annoying viewer that just wants to know the list and doesn't want to actually hear me talk, just want to know the list. What's the bloody point in that? You see, I'm in one of those moods, right? So this list just flowed out. Now I've got to say, right, there's plenty of evil musicians, there's plenty of egocentric musicians and all that type of stuff, but this is about whether I find them annoying. And when I'm really honest about the ones that I find annoying, some of these are very good musicians and they're very able, and on a certain level they're quite likable in a way, but they annoy me. And so that's what we've got, is a list. So obviously this is subjective. Being annoyed is obviously just a subjective thing, and that can change day to day. You know, I can get annoyed by anything, I can, especially at my age. Penguins? What's the bloody point in penguins? You know, but this is the list. I know this video will do well. You know, oh, I've got to see what Andy says about this. And of course, there's loads of people love all the people on this list, and so they're really going to hate me. And then I'll be the most annoying YouTuber. So before you think you're clever, and put on in the comments, yeah, the number one and most annoying YouTuber is Andy Edwards. So there, that's clever, isn't it? I haven't made a clever comment. No, you haven't made a clever comment at all, right? And I'm going to put you on the list of the number one most annoying comment maker on YouTube. And it just goes on, doesn't it? You know. What was that thing Gandhi said about, what did he say, Gandhi? He's bloody annoying, wasn't he? Walking around his stupid bloody white cloth all the time. You know. Shall we just get on with it, Andy? Come on. You're annoying them. This is all about annoyance. See, if I'm annoying you, this is a good way to start, because now you're annoyed, I'm annoyed. Shall we just get straight in? So at number 10, I have got Lou Reed from the Velvet Underground and solo. Oh. Now, I tell you why I don't like Lou Reed. It's quite simple. He had to go with Frank Zappa. I can't even be asked to tell you the quote he said. It'll be up on the screen now. But he said something offensive about Frank Zappa. And when I read that as a younger man, I was like, how dare you, Lou Reed? How dare you even consider that you're in the same room to make a comment about Frank Zappa? How dare you? Someone who got famous, you know, for walking around in dark sunglasses, being cool. And that, you wouldn't even got famous if it wasn't for Andy Warhol deciding to pick on you. And he would pick on anything. He didn't give a toss, did he? He got no quality control. He was always having a laugh, wasn't he, Andy Warhol? If you'd have gone there with a cactus, with a bow tie on, he'd have signed that, wouldn't he? To be honest, Andy Warhol would have, wouldn't he? So he signs this cruddy band, bloody Velvet Underground. And the only reason why Velvet Underground are even mentioned nowadays is because there will always be that artsy-fartsy intellectual type that wants to be in a band but doesn't want to do any other work. They don't want to learn to play anything. And they just want to stand around looking cool, wearing dark sunglasses, wearing dark clothes, and thinking they're the bee's knees, you know, because they can strum a few chords and sing about their drug habits. Right, now, the thing that promoted this rant here is the other day, the song Walk on the Wild Side came on. And I listened to it. I thought, this is a bloody brilliant song, this is. It's really brilliant, right? And, Lou Reed's lyrics are the usual thing, you know. We can all go and hang out with, you know, druggies and drag artists. We can all go and do that, can't we? And then just say we've gone and done it, can't we? You know, I can do that. Go down to downtown, hang out with the alcoholics and the hobos, you know, the homeless people, and sit around with them and just sell, you know, and come on. I walked down to town and they were having a drink of some, white cider, and they paid for it with their benefit money that they just picked up in the morning. I can do all that, but it doesn't sound so good when you go on about Kidderminster people, does it? But Lou Reed, he gets back down, the music's brilliant. Poor old Herbie Flowers, proper musician, he comes in. Herbie, have you got a bass line? How about this? That's like genius. Oh, there you go, there's 30 quid. See ya. But you listen to the whole thing, the saxophone solo, all of it's bloody brilliant. He's leeching off the musicians that are in the room. Perfect Day. That's a good song. I mean, it's a good song. That's a good song, that is. You could write a good song. Right, but loads of people can write good songs. The bloody record business is full of people who can write good songs. Barry Manilow can write a good song. Right? Doesn't mean you can criticise Frank Zappa. And then, because he's Lou Reed, when Frank Zappa was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he gets up and stands up and says how great he is. He gets on my nerves, Lou Reed does. He represents something that gets on my nerves in the music industry. It's a fakeness and a pretentiousness, right? It's not to say you can't enjoy one of their songs, they're nice songs, but they really are no better than Barry Manilow. It's this postmodern, ironic, brainwashing that we've had for the last 50 years, where we think that there's something absolutely artistically like an apex for these musicians, and it's not. We've got to see through it. You have to see through it now. It's over. You don't have to pretend you like these bands anymore. You haven't got to go out and buy Pet Sounds and the Banana album by Velvet Underground and Astral Weeks by Van Morrison and then pretend you like them. You haven't got to do it anymore. Shall we move on? At number 9, I've got Mick Jagger. I've never been convinced by the Stones, and there's loads of Stones and songs I like, right? The other day, I was watching this documentary called 20 Foot from Stardom. It's something like that. It's about, you've got to see, it's on Amazon. Bloody brilliant. And it was all about these properly talented backing singers. And the two greatest moments in the whole of the Rolling Stones career was when that one girl got a call, when they're doing Gimme Shelter back in 1970 or when it was, and they thought, we got to make this sound authentic. Why don't we get a proper singer from America, like a gospel-y singer? And they rang up this woman. I can't remember her name, but the photographs her name is on at the moment. And she came down. She's got her curlers on. She walks in, and they go, "We want you to sing on this song." And they go, "Well, what's the lyrics?" They go, "Rape, murder." She goes, "Bloody hell, what's all this about raping and murdering?" Anyway, so she sings it, first take, sings it, and they go, "That's really good, can you do another take?" And she rightly looks at these snotty little English people after just hearing her sing the real bloody deal, and she turns around and she goes, "Okay then, I'll show you." And she delivers right there and then the best thing that the Rolling Stones ever did, which is her singing that song. Right? Now, years later, they got some other singer that was featured in this documentary. I can't remember her name. Not prepared for this one, you see. But it doesn't matter because I've got the range and that will carry me through. And there's a video of her getting up and singing Gimme Shelter. And I'm sitting there watching it going, well, this is their only decent song. And they've got some nice sort of rocking songs, like, I don't know, bloody... It's only rock and roll, but I like it quite a lot. I do like some of the Stones songs. I do. It's not that gets on my nerves about them, right? Keith Richards gets on my nerves a bit. Ron Wood gets on my nerves. Charlie Watts, I don't mind Charlie Watts. He's all right. And Bill Wyman, I don't know about him either. But yeah, he left, didn't he? Didn't he have like a really young wife? And nobody said anything. I don't know. What are we worshipping these people for? But Mick Jagger, it's like this posh boy. He goes down to London. He gets up with some other guys. They start to play the blues, and then he goes, these incredible black artists that we all love, like Muddy Waters or Jackie Wilson or Little Richard, all of them. I thought that what I would do is personify that by going. He's not a bad singer. I like his voice. He can, but he ain't like he's not like it's just not real. And the bloke's 80 years old now, and they're still doing it. And I just find Mick Jagger Really, really annoying. Now, I'm going to show you a little clip from the record he made with David Bowie, okay? Because I'm now segueing to number 8. And number 8 on my list is David Bowie. I'm so sorry. I thought, don't put him on. Don't put David Bowie on. You never talk about David Bowie on your channel, do you? No, I don't, because I don't really like him very much. How could you not like David Bowie? He's a genius. He was an amazing, he was, yeah, I know he was. I'll give him that. I'll give you that about Bowie, right? But whatever I don't like about Mick Jagger, I also don't like about David Bowie. It's very hard to personify. So, at some point in the 80s, they made some charity thing, or they got together, and they decided to take, as is their wont, some incredible, black American pop song like Dancing in the Streets, which is amazing. The original's really, really great. Great singing, great playing. That is proper music, right? They decided to do a cover of it. Now, for copyright reasons, I don't want to, because I'm not interested in their version, because their version's rubbish. But I'm not interested in their version of Dancing in the Streets and how they ruin that. It's more their performance, which is what they're known for, these iconic people. So have a look at this. This is them performing that song, but without the sound.
Calling out around the world, are you ready for a brand new beat? Summer's here and the time is right for dancing in the street. Dance Chicago. In New Orleans, in New York City. Sweet music, there'll be music everywhere. They'll be singing, swaying, records playing, dancing in the street.
Right, let's give Bowie his due. He's an amazing songwriter. Life on Mars is amazing. That's an incredible bit of songwriting, okay? He brought an experimental edge to, pop music. He brought in people like Robert Fripp and Brian Eno, and he pushed the thing. Heroes is incredible. Scary Monsters is incredible. It's all this. I'll give him his due, but I've got to be honest. When people say, "Oh, David Bowie was amazing," well, I was watching a video the other day, and he comes on, his early 70s, and he's singing Starman. Now, Starman's a brilliant song. I'm not saying these aren't brilliant. Starman is a brilliant song. Lou Reed has never written anything close to about 50 songs that Bowie's written. But and they were friends, weren't they? They all go together, don't they? Mick Jagger, David Bowie, Lou Reed, all these have been linked together by something, and I don't know what it is. Anyway, so I was watching him on the TV singing Starman, and he's there, and he's got this bass player. Is it that bloke that's in Uriah Heep? I don't know. I don't know anything about this. And this bass player's got incredibly long sideboards. They're like really incredibly long. And I can remember watching this as a kid. And I said to my brother, brother, come hither. I say, what is it? Look at these bloke's sideboards. And he looked and went, oh my God, what are that? I don't know. What's this? Didn't care about the song. It was that bloke's sideboards. And those sideboards are registered onto my mind when it comes to David Bowie. But look at David Bowie, what is going on, right? What is going on with him? He looks like a 70s mom. All the 70s moms when I come out of school, that's what they look like, okay? And then I was watching Young Americans. Like Young Americans, he decides to change, because Bowie always changes like a chameleon, isn't he? So, he changes his thing, right? And he decides to do all this soul. And again, what do? They do what the Rolling Stones do. They go and get these incredible singers, stick him in the background, incredible musicians who listen to it, Young Americans. It's not, Bowie's ruining it. Bowie hasn't got that. He hasn't got that soul. He's sat there and he looks terrible. He's got that guitar slung on his back and he's playing. He's got this. He looks just awful. He looks like a 70s mom on heroin, which is basically what he was. Is he destroyed now? Let's move on to number 7. So at number 7, I've got Robert Smith from The Cure. Now I like The Cure. I do like The Cure. They're okay, But in the 80s, The Cure was one of those bands, you know, when I was at college. And then people have said, they said, you're scarred by this. You bet you are. You know, you want to be growing up in school and in college in the 1980s, trying to fit in socially, when your favourite band is the Mahavishnu Orchestra. When I was at school, people used to scroll Mahavishnu Orchestra around the school because they knew that the only person that would have done that is me. And then I would have to stand in front of a teacher and go, surely, teacher, it can't be me, because why would I do that? And this guy has written the Mahavishnu combo. I wouldn't make an error like the Mahavishnu combo, because he's got a vague remember. He's got Mahavishnu, right? That's very impressive. But rather than orchestra, and he probably thought, I doubt it's orchestra. It's probably the Mahavishnu combo. I mean, obviously, no, well, this doesn't make sense, you know, Andrew Edwards. Doesn't make sense that this has happened. You know, well, if I wrote The Cure on there, shall I do that? Because everyone else likes The Cure here, don't they? They all like The Cure. Look at all these lads walking around with their big long coats and they're all their hair bloody crimped and stuck up like an idiot. You know, that's what they all look like, because they all want to look like Robert Fripp. And what does Robert Smith. I nearly put Fripp on the list. I was going to put Fripp on the list. I thought, yeah, he doesn't actually annoy me. There's things he does which are annoying, but they endear him to me. There's many artists. I thought, shall I put so-and-so on the list? I thought, no. Yngwie Malmsteen, he's really annoying. But I got to respect the man for it. I love it. I want to be with Yngwie Malmsteen, and I want him to be arrogant to me, and I would enjoy that. Because you can't doubt. I mean, Malmsteen can play the bloody guitar. He can be arrogant. You know, I've had friends that toured with Yngwie Malmsteen, and you know, you're not allowed to sort of stand in the way of him. You have to clear the way so he can walk to the dressing room without being unencumbered. Or encumbered, it's one of those words. But who was I talking about? Oh, bloody Robert Smith, because I haven't really given a reason why it annoys me. I'll tell you why it annoys me, because in the 80s, when he was there, he was fey. It was all like, and he had all this makeup on, the big red lips, and he got the big black hair. He looked like Edward Scissorhands, didn't he? It was all Edward Scissorhands. And you feel sorry for me, everybody. Oh, feel sorry for me. I'm disabled by my talents. My talents, you see. If I do anything, the world's against me. Oh, Edward Scissorhands, you know. That's Robert Smith, isn't he? He is Edward Scissorhands, isn't he? And he's all there, fey. That's all well and good. Big black hair, and you got your big red lips. It got on my nerves a little bit. You don't have to do that, do you? You don't have to do that. Well, you want proper rock stars. I know it's the 1980s. I know it's got all postmodern. It's all inverted. And now our rock stars have stand there and don't entertain us anymore. You know, I'd rather have Davey Roth. Fair enough. You know, he's got the big chest out, you know, and all that bit. He's doing the splits. Who'd you rather see? David Lee Roth doing the splits and doing all that? Or bloody Robert, what's he called? Robert Smith. You know, with his, you know, and it's all so twee. It's fey and it's twee. Right? They're all supposed to be dark and moody, but they're not. Right? It's the only reason it's dark and moody is because he can't perform. All he can do is go like that's. So that's, say we've got that there. Now the bloke is like 70 years old, isn't he? Right? And for some reason, he has held on to this image. Now, all the Cure fans are going to go, well, I think it's bloody brilliant that he's done that. You know, I mean, really, why should he? Why should he let age get in the way of expressing himself in the way he wants to express himself? That's how he felt in 1984, and now it's 2024, 40 years later. I think it's quite reasonable that the man goes round with a horrible sort of creme brulee dyed black mop of rat-infested hair on his head and these horrible red lips across his aged face, right? It's like, they're going to say yeah, of course he can do it. I ain't going to stop him doing it. I'm not going to like it. And every time I see him now, I feel like going, just stop it. What are you doing? What are you doing? But you can't with Roberts, you know. I mean, look at Gene Simmons. I mean, Gene Simmons, how old is he? 80 years old or whatever. And there he is. He's got his dark sunglasses on. He's got the fake tan. And then he's got this crash helmet of hair that no man of his age would be able to produce. We all know that. And people will sort of scoff and they go, oh, look at Gene Simmons. You know, you could let it go, really. You feel like, go, let it go, Gene. And you could say that to Gene, and Gene would probably have a laugh with you, because I don't mind Gene Simmons, right? I like the guys in Kiss. I think they're great. Don't like Kiss, but I like them. I like Gene Simmons. right? I think that's what annoys me about Robert Smith, is he can't criticise Robert Smith. These here, Lou Reed, not so much Mick Jagger, Lou Reed, David Bowie, Robert Smith, you can't criticise them. And because you can't criticise them, they've evolved into this sort of thing. Now, David Bowie seems like a very likeable person on interviews. I've got no problem watching him interview. But Robert Smith, you see him, they'll become these videos will come out of Robert Smith. And he's like some, chirpy, nice lady will come and go, oh, this is wonderful. She'll be effusive and say something to him. And then he'll look at it and go, and put her down like this and be all like nonchalant and ironic, and all the Cure fans are a bunch of pretentious bloody lefties, probably. They go, I love Robert Smith. He keeps it real, doesn't he? No, he doesn't keep it real. There's nothing about him that's real. Right? There's nothing about him that's real. His hair's not real. The makeup's not real. The music's not real. None of it's real. It's just a tribute band to some bloody... Andy, you really are too... You're too... I'm having a talk with myself, all right? Is that all right with you, lot? Wind it down a bit. Wind it down. You don't... I mean, this is okay, but you're in a bad mood. And the hate thing is right up at the maximum. And there's a certain point where it's funny, but I think I know you're going for the laughs. You're going for the laughs, aren't you? Yeah, I am really. Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with going for the laughs. But I think if you push it too far, it starts to become like quite creepy in a way. I know, but if you think I'm doing a video, it's like this is postmodern, isn't it? Because if I can be annoying on this, then I make a statement which actually cancels the fact that I'm criticising being annoying. And it shows that deep down I have a deep respect for these artists that I'm saying is annoying. And it's all part of really just a game that we're playing. Can't you see that? I can see that, Andy. I think you should get back on because we are running. Okay, shall I just get back into the video? I'm back now. So 20 minutes, and where are we? We're at Robert Smith number 7. That's all right. We're going to come in around about 50 minutes, aren't this usual length? Shall I move on? Shall I claw back some respect from you now? You're sat there with your mouths open going, Lou Reed, Mick Jagger, one of the greatest frontmen of all time, David Bowie, probably the genius of British popular music the last 50 years. And then Robert Smith, what's he done to anybody? Seems like a nice, gentle chap. Maybe Andy knows something about Robert Smith that we don't know. Maybe he's got a friend that had some sort of less than positive interaction with him. We don't know. Maybe there's something like that driving all this. Maybe he's got underlying reasons for hating them all. You just don't know, do you? That's the trouble with people. You don't know, do you? Right, number 6. Let's claw back something. Get you back on side. You see, I know what I'm doing, really. Right, you sat there going, Andy's going a bit too far on this one, I think. He's all a bit too negative, isn't it? Right then. Number 6, sorry. I have the drummer from Metallica, Lars Ulrich. Shall I just move on then? Are you getting... Now you've got to remember, this is ranked. So Lou Reed only slightly annoys me, and Mick Jagger doesn't. And there's things about these people. Even Robert Smith, I do like. There's something about him I like. Now we're getting into the top 5. We're getting to they totally annoy me. Right as we move to number 1, I think Lars Ulrich annoys most people, doesn't he? Now there's a thing on the net which I've always been a bit annoyed with, and it's the idea that we should criticise Lars Ulrich's drumming as though Lars Ulrich's the worst drummer in the world. Now, there's a million bands with a load of cruddy drummers in. Lars Ulrich is no worse or better than any of those. I know that there was a lot of cutting and pasting, let's say, on Master of Puppets. I know that performance is buffed up, but it was pre-computers. So he's got to be playing it in a way somehow, And I know there's these videos where every now and then they'll get some other drummer up to do them. They'll get like Dave Lombardo up to do a Metallica song, and suddenly you go, well, yeah, that's how they should be playing. But I don't want to get it. It's not that annoys me. What annoys me about Lars Ulrich, he just seems to have little man syndrome to me, right? Does anybody know of the dog, the Jack Russell? Do you know about the dog, the Jack Russell? Now, the Jack Russell is obviously named after someone who had little man syndrome. And little man syndrome is like when you... Let me try and create it here, but I'll just raise up the camera a little bit. So, right, so say say you've got little man syndrome, right? So say I've now got little man syndrome. Hello, my name's Andy Edwards, yeah. You like my big studio, do you? I bet you haven't got a studio this big, have you? Now, look at my drum kits. I got 2 drum kits here, because I've got more than 1 drum kit, I have, yeah. I've got a big studio, I've got more than 1 drum kit, you know. And have you seen how many subscribers I've got? 45,000 subscribers, that's a lot, isn't it? Yeah, it's a lot of subscribers, isn't it? It's more than most people. It's more than a lot of people, isn't it? Yeah. I don't want to say anything. I'm not boasting anything. I'm just telling you facts. That's the way it is. Yeah. And anyone who has a go at me, I'll get bloody really angry. You know, because when I was at school, if anyone had a go at me, I thought, I better get really angry first off. You know, I'm gonna show. You know, I'm gonna show you. You know, don't mess with me. I might be little, but I've got moves. You know, and I always felt that Lars Ulrich had got out and gone, because he's got that voice, I think the voice annoys me. Yeah, man, Lars Ulrich, from Metallica back in 1981, yeah. And it's like, we were the best, most heaviest metal band, and I had the idea for it all. I came up with the name and the logo. I'm Lars Ulrich, yeah, my dad, he was tennis player, and we went around the world, yeah, and he paid for me to do all these great things, like go to England and steal all the ideas off the English, New Wave and British heavy metal bands, yeah. And I take all the credit for it, yeah, because I'm Lars Ulrich. And I get the feeling with Lars, I'm getting puffed out being like that, he must wear himself out. I get the feeling with Lars that if you crossed him, he would explode. And because he's a multi-millionaire, that he's got people around him that he would set on you. He can't set on you. You feel like, come on, Lars. You know, you and me, come on. And security. And it'd be one of those, wouldn't he? Next thing you'd be like that. Lars Ulrich. Something about him. Right. And in the spirit of people who seem to have anger problems, let's move to the guy I've got at number 5. At number 5, I have the drummer, Ginger Baker. Right, now, Ginger was a great drummer, but I don't think he was as good as he thought he was. And he spent most of his time putting down any other drummer that he saw as a threat. Usually drummers that would have loved him and seen him as an incredible influence, but he didn't care. And the reason why he thought he was so good is because somewhere in the mix of all this, he thought he was a jazz musician. And he was one of those guys that because he thought he was a jazz musician, that automatically makes him better than a rock musician. Now, I actually have a story to tell you about Ginger Baker, which is all I need to tell you. And I'm going to not name any names, but a friend of mine that will not be named, right, who is a drummer, he, one day, he was like sat there and he gets a call from a contact he's got, and Ginger Baker's playing down in the UK. So I won't say anywhere because I don't want anyone to work out any of this, because it does not show Ginger in a good light, this doesn't. And so he gets this call and he says, we're doing this gig, and they said the Ginger Baker has been so offensive to the drum tech that we've got in to help him set up and look after him, that the bloke's walked out and now he hasn't got a tech and he's demanded a tech. And he said, we've gone through everybody. Would you want to do it? He said to my mate, and my mate said, well, you know, this is something to tell the grandkids. So he got in his car straight away, drove down. And he said he walked in and and they said, right, now I'm not going to swear, right? I'm not going to swear on this. So I'm rather than not say the word, I'm going to change the word in question. It's the F word. Let's change it to funk, because we all love the funk, don't we? Something that Ginger Baker never had. The funk, right? So we got the funk, right? So that's the word I'm going to use. So he said he literally walks in, and he said he walks up, and they said, "This is your new tech." And Ginger was like trying to set the kit up. The Ginger turns around, and he literally walks up to the guy and did this. Funk off! Right? That's what he did. Now, he starts to do the kit, and he says this kit is like been made by Ginger. It's like stuff screwed on. And he's trying to get his right, you know. And I think then Ginger saw that and turned around and goes, Are you retarded? Right, that was the second thing he was told. And then, at that point, the promoter comes up like this, obviously really apologetic, and says, Mr. Baker, Mr. Baker. He goes, what? Mr. Baker, there's this guy, he's been sat at the back for 7 hours, and he's asking if you could sign an album for one of your fans. He's one of your biggest fans, and he's come all the way down. He's travelled a long way, and we don't normally do this, but he has been there, and he's just so excited and was wondering if he could meet you. And Mr. Baker goes, yeah, there's no problem. Oh God! So he gets in, puts his coat on, walks out the room, makes all the effort. He makes all the effort. Comes out, opens the door, comes out the back side, comes up and sees the guy holding the fan, all smiling. And can see his hero walking up, fine, he's going to meet him. He walks up to him. No! What am I walking back for? I think I'm like a method actor, you see. Once I'm in the zone, I walked all the way back to get back here. I thought I was going back into the dressing room. Shall we move on? At number 4, I've got Van Morrison. The Van. Now, one of my sort of most commented on, this never goes away. Every day when I check the comments on my channel, there's going to be a ton on that Astral Weeks video, where I dared to come out and say that I thought Astral Weeks was a pile of pants. This is just turgid, boring, pretentious nonsense. That's what this album is. And it is. There's no two ways about it. Now, not all Van Morrison's stuff's a pile of pants. Moon Dance is all right. I quite like Baby Please Don't Go in the early days, before it turned into a pretentious fool. But Van Morrison gets on my nerves. He gets on my nerves music. I don't like the sound of his voice. And the thing I don't like about the sound of his voice, and everyone goes, oh, he's great. I'm thinking, why is he great? I don't like his music, right? And so I try and like it. And he comes on and goes, and I'm listening, this sounds just bloody awful, doesn't it? And then every now and then he goes, it makes me jump. Right, I'm quite a nervous person. You can tell I've got a lot of energy going on, and it makes me jump. And oh, bloody hell, Van, what you do that for? Then he goes back quiet again. And then he goes, oh, God, what are you doing, mate? Van, what are you doing? Why are you doing this now? I'm asking the question rhetorically because Van's not here, right? But, and I've told this story before, but this is going to be my little story that goes on this one. Let's share some of the content out that you already used. So, in 2000, I did a tour of Ireland when I was playing back with Robert Plant, who's a lovely gentleman, and he's not on this list because he's not annoying, right? And even though he's way bigger than Van Morrison, he's actually quite humble and gets out there and just does the normal bit, right? And that's what Robert's like, we're on tour with him, and he's, do you fancy getting an ice cream, Robert? Yeah, I'll go and get him for you. Goes up to the ice cream van, buy some ice cream. This bloke in the ice cream van's like, it's Robert Plant, yeah. You're right, mate, yeah. You're right, Robert, yeah, I'm all right, matey, yeah, go on. What should we do next, lads? I don't know. Do you want to go down the swings? Have a go on the swing? Yeah, come on. So what Robert was like, down to the rock god. Bloody rock god. So I'm on tour with Robert, going around Ireland, opening up for Van Morrison. Why are you opening up for Van Morrison? Well, he's like the king of Ireland, isn't he? And he was. Okay, so get to the first gig, do the gig, we're opening up, and then we're done. And you walk off stage, and you go back to the dressing room, but then you go and get your gear off stage. This is what's happened, and I've got text, but I want to make sure I get my gear off stage. I'm up getting my gear off the back of the stage, and I've got my tech there, and I'm sticking that in the case for you. And then suddenly this bloke comes in, he went, everybody must leave. Van Morrison is entering the backstage area. Oh, we've got to leave, have we? I said to my dad, don't worry about us, I've got access all areas pass. You! There! What, me? Yes, you! You need to leave right now because Van Morrison is going to be entering the backstage area. Oh, well, I've got like a... And show me access all area. Oh, well, I can't do anything about that. Okay, well, Your tech will have to go, but you could stay. Well, okay, I'll stay, yeah. But if you stay, you must stand with your back against the tent wall, because this is a huge tent. Really? Yes, put your back against... So, all right, then, so, you know, I back up against the... Try and make myself as flat as I possibly can, like this, against the back wall, like that. And the back of this big tent, right, I would say from here to the end of my room, right, I'm going to reenact it, because I didn't reenact it before, and I'm going to use the space. This is all about using the space, you see. I'll have to shout. So imagine this is the dressing room. This here, can you see me? This here is the dressing room. I can't put the lights on, so it might look a bit dark. So Van, he gets out of his dressing room, right? And the backstage is basically where you are. Now, any normal human being at this point would walk, wouldn't they? Like this, you'd walk. Can you see how I'm doing that? You would walk. Can you actually see me when I'm over in the corner? I don't think you can you? But you can walk up like that, right? Not Van. Right? Van's there. He's got his... Where are you? He's got his black hat on. In fact, I've got the sort of hat he hadn't got on, really. Not quite like this, but I'll reenact this for you. Here we go. Ah. So he's got his stage attire on, which is something like that, you see. In fact, it's more like that, isn't it? Yeah. So he comes out looking all grumpy and sullen, stands there. And then they bring a limousine. A limousine is brought round to here. He gets into the back of the limousine. And then they drive him like this round. Literally 15 feet. They drive Van round like this. Someone comes out, opens the door for him, and then he walks into the stage area like that. Looking sullen. I thought, what the hell's going on here? Couldn't talk to him. Couldn't look him in the eye, couldn't talk to him. That is honestly what happened. It might be a bit exaggerated, but that's the way it is in my mind anyway. So that's who I've got at number 4. At number 3, I've put Phil Spector. Now again, I was watching this documentary on these singers, and there's a singer that I do remember their name called Darlene Love, and she sang on a lot of these Phil Spector songs. Now, as you go shopping at Christmas and you hear that sort of Phil Spector produced song and it goes, Christmas, all I want is say Christmas, but it don't want to do it at Christmas. You know that one? The lead singer on that incredible vocalist is Darlene Love, and she was explaining basically how Phil Spector stitched her up, used her voice, promised her stuff, and then took that vocal, put it something else, and he was just basically a complete twat. Now, we know Phil Spector's a twat. He's probably the greatest twat in the whole history of rock music. He's such a twat, right? He's so egocentric and full of himself, right, that he ended up shooting his wife, didn't he? He got done for murder. Now, when he went to court, as I've mentioned on this channel millions of times before, because I find it so bizarre, that when he went to court, because he was a bald man, he would wear a wig, but he'd wear a different wig every single day, right? I'm probably showing you the wigs now that he wore, right? So we got this egomaniacal narcissist looking like an idiot in court for murder, right? So the only thing we're left with now, we go, yeah, he might have ripped everybody off. He might have been an absolute idiot. You know, he might have held people at gunpoint when they didn't do his bidding. But he was a genius because he created the Phil Spector sound. I think the Phil Spector sound is rubbish. I think if you got those Christmas songs, right, what was his sound? His sound was doing what everybody else tries not to do. And that stick someone in a big room and have a ton of reverb on it. That's all he did. I mean, anyone could do that. Get loads of bells, loads of... Because the thing is that once he got a name for doing that, they all want him to produce their songs. And the Beatles, the brilliant Beatles, right, they get him in to produce, what is it, Let It Be? And he ruins it. He ruins the Beatles. How many bands could you ruin? Name me a brilliantly produced film. He's rubbish. So what's all the thing about? What's all the wigs and the murdering? What's it about? I don't get it. I wish I could get those classic Christmas songs. This is about the only thing he did. Yeah, he did River Deep Mountain High. You know, that's Tina Turner. Again, it's ruined by the production. Big Jagger. I like reverb on stuff. Look at me, Led Zeppelin. That's all brilliant. But not when Phil Spector does it. It's just all ringy. It just sounds like a big toilet. Phil Spector. I'm not bothered about the murdering. I'm bothered about the fact that he thinks he's so bloody special and can treat people so horrible. And when I see his little horrible no-chin face as well, you think, who was this bloke? How did he get so much respect? I think this is the key. It's people that in normal life wouldn't have got any respect. And then they get in the parallel world of rock and roll. And for some reason, they then get worshipped. And most people who've got a brain, they understand that this is completely fake, right? And they can react against it like Kurt Cobain, or they can roll with it like Dave Lee Roth. But some people, they believe it. This is all about believing the hype, isn't it? That's what it's all about. Right. So who have I got worse than the murderer that is... Phil Spector at number 2. Well, the only reason why this guy's so high is because he's prog. And I thought, I've got to have a prog person on here that gets on my nerves. Now, they're nowhere near as bad as Phil Spector. But in terms of annoying me, they probably annoy me even more than he does. This is really what this is about. Not a bad guy. I'm sure he's not a murderer. He's probably no, he's not a murderer. I mean, he might be, and he might cover it up. We don't know. But I don't want to slander him. I mean, I feel like I'm getting into trouble now. This video is for comedy purposes. A lot of these things are just to make you laugh, right? This is why this video exists. I don't want to get sued for doing this. Well, you shouldn't do it, Andy. If you don't, I mean, it's all red and good being funny and thinking everyone's making you laugh just by being horrible to people. Anyone can do that, can't they? You know, no, they can't. You come and try. You do it then. Get yourself a video. Get yourself 10 list of people you're annoyed by and see if you can fill up 40 minutes like I have. I bet you can't. I've been walking around the building, but yes, I feel this is the worst one. I don't know how this one's going to go. You're building it up too much, Andy. Just get it for it. So at number 2, we have Steve Howe, the guitarist from Yes. I love Steve Howe. When I did my favourite prog guitarists, he definitely came in 1 or 2. Would have been him or Robert Fripp. And absolute genius. Steve Howe out there in London playing in the band Tomorrow, right, blowing everybody away. They've got flamenco skills, jazz skills, rock and roll skills, Scotty Moore country picking, and he can sing, doing his backing vocals, and he comes into Yes. And he revitalised Yes, and Yes go from making Time and the Word, which is okay, to making the Yes album, which is the album that got me into all this music. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Steve Howe. He is an absolute genius. And all the way through, Yes, he seemed like a lovely bloke making his stuff. You know, it's like all, you know, like Yes, they're all like hippies, and he's all like that, flapping around, all being hippified. But over the last 20 years or so, I just feel that when I watch an interview with him, he just seems really up himself. Sorry, Steve. And that's all it is. You haven't, you're a brilliant guitarist, right? But you seem up yourself. And you seem that you have made yourself the arbiter of Yes. But you're not. That's John Anderson. You know, and John Anderson, I've interviewed on my channel, and he seems like a lovely fellow. Away with the fairies. But that's what we wanted John Anderson to be. That's what I wanted. If he hadn't been away with the fairies in the way he was, he would have let me down. John Anderson didn't let me down. He's a genius. That bloke had a vision for that band. And now that vision's not there. Yes, are floundering. And they've been floundering for like 20 years. And this is one of the greatest bands in the world. Now, if you're a Led Zeppelin fan, you could go, oh my God, oh, Led Zeppelin, amazing. But then look at Live Aid, though. Oh, yeah, they stumbled there. That one stumble, and it's just blotched the name of Led Zeppelin, that one stumble, hasn't it? I might do a whole video on that one stumble, because Led Zeppelin never really put a foot wrong, did they? And never done that. And then they've sort of papered over that with the Celebration Day gig, which is just monumental, isn't it? You go, that's the way you should have done it. Yeah, that's the way you should have done it. It wasn't your fault about Live Aid. No, it wasn't. In fact, you did an incredible job considering the situation when, yeah, you did. And people don't understand that. And that's what I want to do a video that basically gets that point across. But the Led Zeppelin name has been besmirched by that tiny Live Aid thing, hasn't it? Right? Yes. We've had like 30 years of this. The greatest band, Yes are as great as Led Zeppelin. Yes, for me, are like one of the greatest bands of all time. But I ain't going to buy any of the new albums. I've bought a few, put them on, right? And then we all moan about it. okay? But we don't identify what is the problem. It's Steve Howe. It's Steve Howe. And I feel that nobody can tell him it. I feel like he's become an old man, he's a grumpy man, and that sort of hippified sense of wonder and playfulness has morphed into some sort of, curmudgeonly playfulness. I can't explain it. I mean, a lot of these have been jokes, right? And I don't hate Steve Howe. I've got serious now. But there's something there that you detect in the music. I'm sensitive to it. And when I hear Yes Now, it's not Yes. And then when I go and hear True, the latest album by John Anderson, I go, well, there we go, that's Yes, isn't it? Because it's not about the guitar player, it's not about the bass player, it's not about the drummer. And they're all incredible. Chris Squire, it's not about any of them. I'm telling you, it's not. They're all incredible because John Anderson was able to take all these individuals, which is why Yes never got on, all these individuals that had incredible... They're not like jazz fusion players that can play anything. They're brilliant players. But what Yes had is Bruford, Chris Squire, John Anderson, Rick Wakeman, and... if I missed one out, Steve Howe, the other one I'm talking about, right? Each of those you can recognise on one note. And yet John Anderson was able to focus all that into this thing that was just so homogenous for a time. But the thing that makes it Yes, as has been proved, is John Anderson. And this annoys me. It annoys me so much. It annoys me more than these people that are on the list. So that's what I've said, and I've said it now. I don't care. Why should I care? Right? This is only music. This is only music. It's not life or death. We are living in a world, right? I'm getting serious now. We are living in a world where there's terrifying and terrible things going on at the moment. We're worried. We're worried about the future for our kids. We're worried about the environment, World War III. All these things are kicking off, Our culture is in turmoil at the moment. Now, cultures do this, right? And I know I'm playing my tiny part being here on YouTube, having the opinion that I can only have, which is a bloke of my age, that has totally been ensconced inside this incredible cultural movement, which was rock music, rock and roll, right? Coming in sort of halfway through the punk thing when I first became aware of music and riding that punk thing up until now, but having a deep love for the music that went before punk. And I've applied my whole life. This has been my whole life, right? And now I'm here and I'm talking to the same set of people, right? Now we do count. We do count. It might be that the world doesn't want us to count, but we do count. Everybody counts. We're allowed to have an opinion about stuff, right? Now when you just deal with aesthetics, right? Now, aesthetics inform virtually everything that is not about facts. So science tells us about fact and truth. Aesthetics tells about how we feel about the world. And that's entirely subjective. And I have a problem with postmodernism because it tries to make that objective but completely subjective at the same time. And it's confusing. My take is it's much simpler. You can deal with aesthetics in art. You can say, this person gets on my nerves, this does this, I don't like that album, and you could say it in a way where it does not matter, okay? Now, when I did this video, I didn't mean to get to this point and actually show my true intentions on videos like this. My true intentions is to just go, come on, everybody, get involved, say what you want, say you think. If this does not matter, this is not life and death, it's just Yes. Right? And you could say, oh, he gets on my nerves, Steve Howe does. Now, if Steve Howe walked in now, I would shake him hand and I'd sit down. And because we're both musicians, we'd probably find we had all this in common. People we know, perhaps, places we've played, being a musician, working, putting the practice in. I know that's the case of everybody on this list. And when I was a teacher and the kids would turn around and go, oh, I don't like Justin Bieber. And I'd go, why? Oh, he spat on his fan. They would say that every year, right? This is what I'm actually dealing here with, is the public perception. The public perception versus the real person. And I'm actually poking fun at that public perception. I'm coming in as a man of my age and I am ranting and I'm raving. And you are laughing, hopefully, at me doing this, right? because you can see how stupid it is. And yet there is always the acorn of truth. And if we can get to that point where everybody, even the people we disagree with, if we go, yeah, I really disagree with this point of view, but I know that there's the acorn of truth is in there. And that is what we need at the moment, right? And the way we get there, the path to that is through humour. Because humour brings us all together. Now, I've told you the real intention of this video. This video has been, this is the thing about YouTube. I hadn't planned to do this video. I've done a ton of these. This is the best one I've done. The comedy is the most out there and surreal. And it's the most in your face. And it's the most sort of like, oh, I can't believe he said that. And yet we have arrived, due to the structure that I had planned less than I normally, at number 2, here we are. And the real esoteric point, the esoteric has become exoteric. And the actual point that I'm trying to make, I have been able to establish. And hopefully you'll go, and he's just having a laugh, isn't he? Yeah, I am. Of course I am. If any of these people said, you know, why did you say all this about this? I'm just winding you up. You can take it. And if they turn around and say, no, I cannot take it. And I think that's the thing. I know David Bowie could take it. Right? I think Mick Jagger could take it. I even think Robert Smith could take it. Could Lars Ulrich take it? I don't know. Ginger Baker definitely couldn't take it. You're only saying that way about the dead ones. You see, I'm taking the mickey out of thought process. So who's at number 1? At number 1, I've got the most nicest guy in rock and roll. Somebody that I actually do like and I would love to meet. And I'm sure he'd be a lovely, generous, pleasant person to be around. But he gets on my nerves. And the reason why he gets on my nerves is because he's too chummy. Now, let's play a game, shall we, for number 1. I ain't going to tell you who it is. I'm going to talk about them. And I'm going to mention what band they're in. But I'm going to talk about it. See if that person comes into your mind, who I've got at number 1 on this list. Right, yeah, so he's too chummy, right? He's turned rock and roll into something that should be dangerous with attitude, just something which is like a family affair, you know. And the whole family goes to see this band and they all go, oh, you go. And he thinks he's the champion of rock and roll. He's become like the ambassador of rock. And this bloke shouldn't be the ambassador of rock. No way should he be. It should be someone like Keith Richards at least. Or Jimmy Page, but not this bloke. But he's made himself it. But he's made himself by doing all this not worthy. It's like bloody Wayne's World come to life. His band had roots in a band that really did have some attitude. It really changed music history, right? But he has taken that legacy and he has turned it into a band now, which is just a sort of safe rock and roll. You know, it's like, how can you put it? It's like the Hollywood version. It's worse than that. It's like the McDonald's version of rock. That's what his band is. And they've been around and people love them as well. That makes it even more annoying. And they go and see him. Right? And it doesn't matter. He can do no wrong. Now, he can do wrong because recently he's obviously gone on and had an affair and he's fathered a child, which every good rock and roll lead frontman person should do, shouldn't they? That's what they should be doing. You know, if you came out and you said, you could pick any rock star you like, proper rock star, you know, it's Robert Plant or Dave Lee Roth or I was going to say Freddie Mercury, this won't work. But if you picked any of those types and said, you know, they fathered a child outside of marriage, you'd go, well, I imagine so, yes. I'm not surprised. But when this bloke, though, they found out, it was going, oh, I can't believe it. Because his fan base are not rock. His fan base are not rock. And that's who I've got at number 1. He's a too chummy. He's too nice. It's just not, it's like in the history of rock and roll, in the history of rock music, when Link Ray did Rumble and decided to make that guitar so dirty, and then all the British guitarists went, oh, I love that. And then the Kinks came out and they dirtied up and they went, and And then the whole world went nuts. And then Cream comes out, Sunshine of Your Love, and the blues guitar virtuosos, these magicians of rock, you know. All of that bit. And then Black Sabbath come out and they bring Satan in. Cool. Well, we should do what Cream are doing, but what we should do is bring Satan in. Oh, that's a bloody good idea, isn't it? Ow, bow, bow, blah, 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 blah. And then Deep Purple come out. And he says it, Ian Gillan, good golly, said Molly. He quotes Little Richard as he takes the rock and he amps it up. Then Judas Priest come out, Sid After Sid, Simon Phillips, Jazz Fusion Master on drums, double bass drum, Descendant Aggressor, you know. Canyons! Right, that's the history. And the history marches on, doesn't it? Iron Maiden, Metallica, Slayer, Napalm Death, Pantera, Rage Against the Machine. That's rock. That is rock. But somewhere around there, and it happened 25 years ago, this bloke comes out, and he's even a part of it. He was in one of those bands. And he takes it, and he turns it into... He castrates it. And that's bloody annoying. But it had to happen. There was no other, that's what's going to happen. Happens to every single art form. Don't think there's nothing you can do about it. Done and dusted. I ain't going to say who number one is. I am going to, because I'm a good YouTuber. I know how YouTube works now, see. Got to get engagement in the comments. Put in who you think number one was. Andy's really done something on this video. This is one of my best videos. Right, there's no two ways about it. I didn't expect to do this. I've got no electricity. Right? I've come down here. This is one of my best videos. Normally, I feel a bit dirty when I do one of these videos. Here to get the views. Yeah, keep the channel going. You know, I can do a video about Gil Evans now that 2,000 people will watch. But I actually think this has got some point. And I hope that you realise that what brought you here, if the views are high on this. See, there's a lot I'm assuming with this video. I'm assuming the views will be good. I'm assuming a lot of people will see it. I'm assuming we're in a ritual where you've clicked on it because you want to see it, and then you want to see it because you want to see me put down somebody who you like. So you could get annoyed with me, and that's the irony of this. And then you could then put a comment on going, how dare you criticise David Bowie, he was a genius. And knowing that deep down I think all this, and knowing that I know it's just about taste, but isn't it fun, what we're involved in? Isn't that the point? Isn't this all a bit of fun? And doesn't that wanting to have a bit of fun just laid the groundworks for us all being able to just get together and see in reality the situation in which we find ourselves and have a little bit of humanity. Anyway, there's the message. It's a positive message in the end, isn't it? Right, now, who have I upset? Lou Reed's dead. I can't see Mick Jagger caring. I don't have to go to him. David Bowie's dead. Robert Smith, is he going to do anything? Lars Ulrich might, he ain't going to see it though. Ginger Baker's dead. Van Morrison, well, I've had a go at him already and there's nothing came back on me. Phil Spector, you can say what you want about him. Steve Howe, I expect that's the troublesome one. Number 2 is Steve Howe. Dave, Andy, you guys are going away. That's about the best end I can have for this video. So if you like this video, it's nearly an hour long. If you're still here now, it's got a good video. This one was, wasn't it? I think it's one of my best ones. This could be the platonic Andy Edwards video. I'm saying it at the end of the video. This has everything that a good Andy Edwards video has. Everything. The only thing it hasn't got is I haven't mentioned Alan Holdsworth. But I have now. I've even got Alan Holdsworth in there. Right at the end. Lord Holdsworth. An actual proper genius. So shall we all praise Lord Holdsworth? Thank you for the beautiful music. Thank us for the inspiration. And thank at the end of all this video, I've been able to mention this name. And all of those of you who don't know who Alan Holdsworth is, go and educate yourself right now. Thank you for watching this video. Please put a like on it. If you want to see some more, please subscribe. And if you want to support me, you can go to my Patreon, where you become a free member or a paid member. You'll get lots of extra content, and you'll be able to get in touch with me and send me messages, and I'll have a chat to you maybe, because I'm a very arrogant man, and I might just say, "Oh, sod it, just give me the money." Or you could put some money in my PayPal tip jar. Thank you so much. This is the end of the video, and now I will walk off, as every good film should end, with me walking off into the sunset. As the sun goes down and we reach the end of the art form, which is always the metaphor for death, but the death that we face with bravery and with a resilience that only a true Englishman can have.